The UK Green Party leader today claimed Donald Trump's Scottish golf courses should be seized by the state and handed over to local communities. Zack Polanski said the US president should be kicked out of Turnberry in Ayrshire and Aberdeenshire's Trump International Golf Links. During a visit to Glasgow, Mr Polanski was pressed on whether it would be legally problematic to seize privately owned assets.
But I'd really like to see Donald Trump kicked out of his golf courses. I don't think that, you should be able to start illegal and unpopular wars and still have golf courses. And actually, I'd love to see those golf courses brought into community ownership. As I say, that's just a personal opinion. I definitely haven't come as an English politician to tell Scotland what to do, but it seems outrageous that Donald Trump's still able to enjoy those golf courses.
Mr Polanski also backed calls for US forces to be banned from making use of Scots bases like Prestwick Airport as he spoke to journalists on a trip to the city.
I think the question you put to me also puts under the spotlight Keir Starmer's claims that we're not involved with this war, when we are giving permission to be able to use our naval bases, our air bases, when we have bombers flying from UK soil and using our airspace, then we clearly are involved. And I think about our European allies, people like Pedro Sanchez, the president of Spain, who were really clear with Donald Trump that this is unacceptable. And I would say, I was watching the debate that Gillian did with John Swinney, and I was surprised to see him not condemn the use of US submarines in Scottish waters for this war. It felt a little bit like playing both sides. And I think on an issue as serious as what's been happening in Iran, what's been happening in Lebanon, and what's been happening under the name of Donald Trump, that we are complicit in if we don't remove the use of our bases and also the use of our Air Force, then that does worry me.
Trump seems to be a millstone around the neck of his allies in other countries, whether it is Hungary or Australia or Canada. Pretty consistently, the candidates he's endorsing in other countries' elections are losing, in no large part because of their association with him, particularly now that people are seeing the impact of his war and how much they're paying at the moment for fuel, but we're very quickly going to see it for things like food and medicine as well. I think Mark... Oh, sorry, Gillian.
No, but ultimately it is the right thing to do to remove the troops from using Prestwick as a de facto. We've seen that Trump is quite willing to bomb civilian infrastructure to get his own way. There is no way that we should be complicit in any of that, and waiting till he's done something like that to then react is having us being complicit in the deaths of those civilians. And I think while we're looking at an increasingly scary world, we do, as Scotland, have to be that force on the world stage for peace and making sure that we're not complicit in any of these acts, whether it be by Trump or by any other world leader who decides to follow his lead.
Well, I think more problematic is a genocide in Gaza and killing innocent people in Lebanon and in Iran. And so we've talked for a long time about sanctions that the UK government should be putting on Israel. But frankly, I think there's places where we should be sanctioning Donald Trump, where it's possible, and I think very likely, he's committing war crimes. And I think removing him from the golf course feels like the very least we could do.
Sarah Malone, the Executive Vice President of Trump International Scotland, said the comments in relation to our golf courses in Scotland are frankly ludicrous and ignorant and made by a man who is an imbecile.
You spoke about Donald Trump quite a bit actually in that press conference that you just gave, and one of the more interesting things that you said is you think that he should be, I think your words were, kicked out of his golf courses. They should be sort of seized from him. In terms of, the idea of seizing assets for people, it appears that you just would take things from someone that you don't agree with. Is that true?
Well, the language I used was to make sure that those golf courses are in community ownership, and so it's up to other people what language they want to put on that. I would want to see every tool at our disposal to make that happen. The key principle here is that if you have a man, as we do, who is enabling a genocide in Gaza, who puts out on Truth Social that he intends to wipe out an entire civilization in Iran, are Scottish people happy with him being able to enjoy the privileges and joys of having a golf course? He says that he loves Scotland, but the question is, do Scotland people love him? I think the more important question is, do people even like him or think that he's appropriate? And I imagine that most people in Scotland, as around the UK, recognise that Donald Trump is an unhinged man. He's dangerous, he's unpredictable. He's putting our country, both England and Wales and Scotland, in a more dangerous place because the Westminster government is allowing our air bases and submarines to be used by the US, which is different, by the way, to our European allies, people like Pedro Sanchez, the president of Spain, who said that he can't do that. And so with all of that going on, it seems absurd to me that we are talking about sanctions on Donald Trump. This seems like one of the least sanctions possible, is to say that he can't come and enjoy the profits and the enjoyment of a golf course in a country that frankly can't stand him.